Makoto Kimura will have an everlasting impact on the anime industry because of all of these projects that he's went on to work on and produce. For one, you can see he's worked on, Attack on Titan. Two, he's worked on JJK. He's worked on Vinland Saga. His anime portfolio speaks for itself. He has worked on a considerable amount of anime that has had an impact in the anime community, the anime industry, and just the culture itself. And so when I saw this news earlier today with him stepping down and creating his own new company, Blue Rights, aka he's leaving Studio MAPPA, it shocked me a little bit because it's just like he has had such a significant, I guess, weight within the company. To see him depart, it's just like, wow, that's wild. Why? And the reasoning for this, apparently, the reason why he's creating this company is because he wants to bring wonderful culture to the world and rebuild a scheme that makes creators happy. And when I read this last part, make creators happy, I'm assuming he means animators, and I couldn't help but just laugh a little bit. And the reason for that, because I think everybody's heard by now the whole controversy around Studio MAPPA and just how it treats its employees. But also, those that know the history of Studio MAPPA and its origins know the reason why Studio MAPPA was founded in the first place was thanks to ex-employees from Studio Madhouse that was very upset with the production hell and just the sweatshop-like conditions. They decided to leave the company and create a new company called Studio MAPPA. And when you fast forward today, Studio MAPPA is basically in the exact same situation as how Studio Madhouse was all those years ago. And so seeing an individual that obviously has had a significant impact within the culture of Studio MAPPA, now leaving Studio MAPPA to create his own studio to be able to help creators out, it's comical to a degree, ironic as well, because we can kind of contribute a lot of things that's happened within Studio MAPPA thanks to Makoto Kimura's overall actions. I don't think he is the full person at fault, but he is definitely one of the symptoms of a company that has clearly had a lot of issues for a very long time. And so let's just get headfirst into this, and what does this overall news really mean? Does this mean that Studio MAPPA is going to crumble? No. Does this mean that Studio MAPPA is going to change? Potentially. Does this mean that Studio MAPPA might become a healthier workplace? Maybe, but that's a long time off. Regardless, the big point is what impact did Kimura have within the industry, and why is his departure just so significant? So with that being said, we got to go back to this article that dates back to November 1st, 2023 that came out, and it was an interview with Manabu, the CEO of Studio MAPPA. And I think some of you might remember a little bit of this because I talked about it briefly in a video and a bunch of other people talked about it. It was basically where Manabu confirmed that Chainsaw Man wasn't as successful as he wanted, all that different type of stuff. But this article is very relevant for this current notification. For instance, Makoto Kimura stepping down because he has such a significant impact in the history of Studio MAPPA that to see someone like him leave the company, it does go to show the current situation within the company and just how dire it might be. So let's get into that. So for the most part, the article outlines Manabu just talking about the origins of Studio MAPPA and just how it came to be and just like what projects they were working on, aka, what projects they're working on now, but also where they actually started, like different little things that was the plans of what they wanted to work on when they first started, but also the projects like Shingeki no Bahamut that came out, and a lot of the projects early on were not making a lot of money. They weren't making a lot of money. They didn't have some outright bangers or successes, even though I did like Shingeki no Bahamut. I reviewed it on my channel, by the way. Shameless plug, I know. But I liked their early projects. They were really good, but obviously they weren't something that just massively changed the culture of anime itself and were some big, heavy hitters. And basically, over the years of trying to find something that would really stand out, eventually they got to something called Yuri on Ice. And I think everybody will recognize that one. It was definitely a series that blew up in a lot of popularity, and it was something that really started to make a name for Studio MAPPA. And that is when their company started gaining a little bit more money, and they had a little bit more leeway to start doing more riskier type of projects. So we fast forward a little bit after that, and we get into the business side of things that Manabu starts to talk about. He starts to talk about his objective of what has been always his vision every single year, to be able to make the company more money, to allow the, more people to make more money within the company, all these different type of things. And he realized that he had to really deal with a lot of heavy hitters within the industry. He was competing with companies like Kyoto Animation that he said himself, and even Studio Fotable, and that they were already like miles ahead of him in a race, and he felt like he was just crawling on the ground at the start, so to speak. And he wanted to be able to participate in that race, even though there was no way he was going to be able to catch up by legitimate means, or means that were the same, so to speak, as what they were doing. So his objective was to ramp up production and make production just so crazy to where they would just start generating so much money that people could possibly not ignore Studio MAPPA. So that was his overall vision. His objective was to just get as many projects as possible to be able to make money. And eventually it made him wind up on Chainsaw Man, aka a fully 100% investment in TV anime Chainsaw Man, and we all know how that turned out. Regardless though, this was a very risky project that they wanted to do to generate even more money, and Kimura was also brought on as a producer, and he worked on quite a few other projects as well within the studio at the time, but he was definitely someone that contributed a lot, as you could see here, within the studio to make the environment for itself. This is probably the most important segment of the article for Kimura, and how he just had such an impact with the environment of the studio itself, inside and outside the company. It's literally stated by Manabu himself. So for the actual CEO to mention this man by name, it showcases the overall schemes, the business schemes he fought up, etc., to really be able to make money for this company. He was definitely not a small figure, so to speak, within the company. He was definitely someone that had significant weight. So seeing this departure is very, very shocking, as I've clearly already outlined. Now, why is this something that is pretty shocking? Like, going one step further, to see someone that is obviously so high up on the totem pole for the company leaving the company, it does mean that there probably is some restructuring going on within Studio MAPPA, and that they're trying to probably fix ongoing issues, or maybe Chainsaw Man really was a bigger failure than we thought, or other little things were happening that was just bigger failures than we thought, these little stepping stones that led up to it, and it just caused everything to really crumble. We've had a bunch of directors that have just straight up left Studio MAPPA. We have had many animators just blacklist the company and don't even want to interact with them anymore. We have seen just, Studio MAPPA bleed a lot of people in the last 7 to 8 months. So seeing this news isn't as shocking as everything, that's been going on, but it does showcase once again that Studio MAPPA is taking a lot of hits. It is definitely not as wonderful to work for as it once was, and seeing someone just so high up leaving definitely shows that there's probably going to be more to come as time passes. But yeah, very interesting, honestly. Just Studio MAPPA lost one of its big figures that obviously helped contribute to a lot of good, but a lot of bad within the company. I don't think it was entirely Makoto Kimura's fault. I don't think it was. I think it would be wrong to say that. I just think that he is definitely one of the symptoms, or one of the reasons why it got to that point, thanks to his business schemes. And I don't think that, anything is going to change too considerably with his departure, because Manabu obviously is still there, which, once again, his main objective was to pump out as much production as possible to make as much money for the company as possible. So, as long as he's there, he is going to be a huge problem, or Studio MAPPA is going to have a lot of problems. Now, I don't think Manabu is entirely all at fault either. I think there's other suits within the industry that are causing problems, but you can see that there is just a fundamental lot of issues that's happening within the company that is a symptom of just a lot of success and trying to cut corners to reach the big dog, so to speak, to catch up with Kyoto Animation and Studio Fotable. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to talk about this briefly, this news that came out. Be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.